Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel. Now today is a different type of video really. I did mention in one of my previous videos that I have started training as a bus driver. Now this is the start of a small little mini series on the road to becoming a bus driver essentially. Now it started, the whole process started a couple of months ago where I applied to become a bus driver and I went for the interview and everything else. Now, on the process to become a bus driver, you have 4 tests that you have to do. Now, on the 1st of March, I completed 2 of them, which was the hazard awareness and theory test. The theory test is a little bit different compared to when you do your normal car one, because a lot of the questions are sort of like concentrated around driving buses and coaches and HGVs compared to driving a car. So it is a little bit different. But I managed to pass that. I did a hazard perception test for the first time ever, because when I actually got my car licence, we only had to do the theory. We didn't have to do a hazard perception back then. So, you know, I did my theory test. So that was the first module that I passed. And then we had to do a case study, which is a scenario of someone out in a day shift, that sort of stuff, or and there's different scenarios, and you have questions to answer. It's very much... the answers are very much similar to when you do your theory test. You learn most of the answers from when doing the theory test, but it is just asked a different way. So, you learn it all while doing that, which I found really interesting, because there's some things that I didn't know about, and it wouldn't apply to us being bus drivers, because we actually run on the domestic license instead of, if you're a coach driver or HGV, you actually run on the EU rules. So anyway, that's the first 2 modules. The second 2 modules that we have to pass there is a show me tell me type quiz that the examiner will be asking us, and it's different questions about health and safety, visual checks and checks of the bus before you go out, that sort of stuff. That will be, I think it's halfway through our 3rd week of training we have that test. So yeah, that's another week and a half away. And then at the end of our 3rd week, it's actually classed as the 3rd module. The test that we have to do on the Wednesday is module 4. Module 3 is our practical driving test in a bus, which is daunting. I have to admit, it is rather daunting, because you've only had 3 weeks of training to drive a bus, which a lot of people say is more than enough, because you're out every day learning to drive a bus, which is true. But there is 2 of us learning at the same time in the same bus with the same instructor. So we're sharing the driving and the learning, and we're learning from each other. Say if I make a mistake, my training partner, he will then learn from my mistakes, and vice versa. So I'll learn from his mistakes, and it makes quite a nice day, especially training with someone else. We're both fresh, never driven a bus before. Now, day 1 on the Monday, it was our first day with the company, so it was induction day. We spent the whole day filling paperwork out, learning health and safety bits and pieces, and then just going through everything. It wasn't until the Tuesday, which was day 2, that we actually got to see the bus we're training in, because the bus we start training in is the same bus we do our testing. And we're in I want to say 1999 double-decker bus. It's, over 20 years old. It's not a new modern bus, But I got to admit, when I first saw it, when me and my training partner first saw it, we were like, shit, this thing is absolutely massive. And it is, it's a double-decker. But after driving it for a few hours, you get a little bit more relaxed. But then you still have to remember, you're in a double-decker. It is, high. But we did learn that it's actually easier to drive a double-decker than a single-decker, because a single-decker could be 1.5 meters to 2 meters longer. So obviously your trailing back end is a lot further away as well as your back wheels. So going around corners and that is a little bit harder in a single decker than it is a double decker, because obviously it is shorter. So the wheel span isn't as long. So we actually got to drive the bus for the first time, and it's scary. I'm not going to lie, it is scary. Obviously, I'm used to. I think the largest thing I've actually driven before this was a long wheelbase van, and although that is, a long wheelbase van is big, bus is completely different. It's like, holy hell, this is a different experience. But we spent the week pretty much learning to drive the bus, taking lefts, taking rights, going around roundabouts, where to actually position yourself as well. And it makes me realise how bad some people can be on the road in the car, because obviously you're in a long, slow moving vehicle and people want to get past you as quickly as possible, and sometimes dangerously as possible as well, because some of it bear in mind, it's only been a week, and it's only been a week of training, and we've not been in major rush hours or anything like that. And yeah, it's some people are impatient. That's all I'm going to say on that. Some people are impatient. So one of the things that I would say is give bus drivers a bit of space to manoeuvre, because it is a very big, very slow moving vehicle, and it makes you appreciate what bus drivers do, learning to drive in a bus. Anyway, Wednesdays and Friday mornings, we are in the yard extra early, because our instructor likes to get us in early to learn reversing, because part of our test is we have to reverse, we have to pull up a bus and actually reverse it into a space, which is quite difficult. The first time I did it on the Wednesday, I think I mucked it up a few times. I only got it right once. We get three tries, and I mucked it up a few times. The third time I got it right. I wouldn't say it was perfect by any means, but I managed to get it. Friday morning when we did it, first time I did okay. The second time I swung too hard. So you got to stay away from cones, that sort of stuff. And yeah, I struggled a little bit on the second time. Third time, I managed to get it again. But practice does make perfect, and I do have another week and a half, 2 weeks before my test. So, but on the Friday, our bus did spring a bit of a leak, and it was only a very small leak, and the engineers are hoping to have it fixed for us for Monday, when we go back for week 2. But we got to sample what it's like driving a single decker, and it is different. It is extremely different, because obviously it's 2 meters longer. You really have to try and keep away from the curbs, and being in a longer vehicle, it is a lot harder. I have to admit, yeah, it's different, but we're getting there. After the first week, it's starting to sink in, and I'm excited about next week, going back for the second week and improving on the skills I've learned this week. Our instructor, fantastic guy. He's really helpful, and he really is helping us learn to drive this bus. I know that's his job, but he's a great guy, and we're learning a lot from him. He's challenging us every day with different scenarios, different corners. I can't say what we call them, because there is a few swear words involved, but they are challenging corners, to say the least. But yeah, that's been my week of learning to become a bus driver. It's nothing overly exciting. It is a slow moving vehicle. But yeah, a few of the things that I need to work on is getting that back wheel further away from the curb so that I don't clip it. Getting closer to the curb when we're actually pulling up, which sounds really weird. But when we're pulling up to practice picking up pedestrians, getting closer to it would be a massive advantage. And I am working on it. And speed. Not speeding, but my speed. I seem to keep the bus below 25 miles an hour when going down the road. Ideally, I need to just a few more miles per hour, sort of like the 26, 27 miles an hour, so that we're not dilly-dallying and holding up people behind us. But that's just stuff that I personally think I need to work on and need to revise more for our Mod 4 exam, which is halfway through the third week. But yeah, that's been my experience of learning to drive a bus this week. I'm hoping our double-decker is fixed and ready to go Monday morning. I'm excited about getting back there and working and improving skills and improving generally, that I know I'm ready for my test in 2 weeks' time now. I think my test is Good Friday. I believe it's Good Friday. My test is the day that I'm due to take my practical test. So, but on that note, thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, hit the like button, and we'll be back in the next video. Adios.